Hello, 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 and welcome to another one line of hair of code. I am one line. That's a nice little piece that got clipped out. There's more hair back there somewhere. Anyway, that's the magic going on. Hi, welcome into a Friday stream. Happy Friday to all of you. My hair says good morning. Let me just shake it out. It's gonna get poofy. Who cares? The clipping is, it's probably the lighting. It's kind of dark today. Today is Friday, and on this stream that means it's Community Day. And Community Days, as many of you already know, are days where I have the stream room open for, yeah, best clipping ever. Like, what even is this? Here. Do something here. Oh my gosh. I like these birds back here, though. Anyway, yes, that's fun. Let's go here. Today, Community Days are days where I have the stream room open, and as I'm looking over, I see Mojo in the waiting room, which means he's probably ready to hop in and get Community Day started. But you can bring up any topics that you feel like that are relevant to this channel. Born ready. Came out of the womb ready. All right, well, I am pulling you into the stream room. Feel free to do a mic check whenever you're ready for it. And I'm gonna work on my hair, because my hair is doing weird in the camera. Oh my gosh, you're tested. So how is it? Yeah. How's it going?
Oh, it's good. I just gotta hold on. I gotta mute the stream. Okay.
Cool.
It's good, all things considered.
Good. Okay. Awesome. So what do you mean as of this moment? Yes.
Can I say that again?
Absolutely. I asked, what do you mean as of this moment?
Oh.
Like, was it bad earlier? Is it going to be bad later?
Could be bad later. Just some work hiccups, you know.
No, I don't know, because I never have work hiccups. Ever.
Oh, true. You're blessed. My bad.
Oh boy. And hello, Peter. Mic check, please.
What's up? What's up? I'm saying words. These are words, and Mojo's
very
now
nice
muted.
I think he has push to talk.
Ah, very, very wise. I'm running in a browser, so this is the most precarious situation, but it's for the best.
Yes, your voice is coming through nice and clear and smooth.
Good.
I don't have push to talk. I just buffer my brain.
Oh. So you manually push to talk.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That fell flat. That didn't work.
It was a great joke. So we were all laughing. Everyone in chat is laughing. Who is here? It's early. Lucasoft in chat.
Mojo is here and was first. Ducasoft is here, laughing at my clipping.
TBD discovered that when my CPU hits 100%, which happens more often than I'd like to admit, that my mic will start clipping.
Oh.
It
just gets a little choppy, that's all.
Oh. We have a 12,000 line file that I was
right.
I was opening, and my IDE started freaking out, and my computer was like, "Hey, we're gonna clip you."
I mean, it's reasonable. So, yeah, there's lots of people.
The file size is reasonable, or the computer action.
You know, I've never heard worse than 12,000. I have heard 10,000 lines of vanilla JavaScript before, which was previously the record holder. You know, they were like, not even using jQuery. Like it was a while ago.
Let's put it this way. TBD's first question was, please tell me that's not a 7,500 line method.
One method? Is it one method?
Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
It still is.
Bad things are going to come out of my mouth.
Yeah, I'll allowed. Let me put my disclaimer on that I always
No,
forget.
please do it. I didn't write it, so it's fine.
It's not going to be swears, but it'll be...
No, whatever language you use, just be mindful. Yeah.
It will be worse than swears. It will be a condemnation of the code.
It'll be logic.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, it's bad, and I have the natural problem, because I'm a JetBrains user, of just extracting methods everywhere, even when I probably shouldn't. Like, if I have a Boolean logic, like an if statement, and it has a Boolean thing in there, and it has an and or an or, I will strongly consider extracting a method, especially if it's reused. Like, I am that micro methods guy that is bad for your code base. What do we got? Napalm says, hey. Mojo. Well, and for the record, Visual Studio added that many years back, and yeah, you haven't seen my code bases where someone else will write like 30 lines of code, and then I will extract like 5 methods, and they will be much easier to understand, but then you have to follow the method.
Yeah, this big chain.
Yeah.
I do kind of like that, though. It should be called something like breakpoint surfing.
Nice.
Nice.
And that's my code, if you were cursed with having to maintain my code.
It has taken a lot of willpower not to use it.
Excuse me.
Napalm, it's never good naming. If you've seen my chats in Discord, you know that let's just say I need an editor. I'm aware of it. I will also say, like, the Discord chat rooms, I'm just trying to fire out like a quick response. So I'm extra lazy on Discord, but like I'm not that much better when I'm trying. So I also have a lot of bad habits. Like, I started writing like the word for, F-O-R, at the end of methods, and I'm not sure you should ever do that. Like, if you look at the .NET framework, it never ends a method with like set up database for, and then you pass in an object. Anyway, it's hard to explain. I have to find you. Get methods, yep.
Yeah, I don't know who I heard this from, but because naming is so hard, and that's time sync, I guess. One thing that was recommended to me is just write out whatever long phrase you want for your method or variable name, and then you can refactor it later. But the point of it is keeping it at least recognizable to know what it's for, and then you can trim it down.
Sounds great. I am so sloppy naturally. Like, when I make a pull request, I'll read over the diffs and I'll be like, oh no, I left that in. Oh no, I left that in. And I will say I'm
after
pretty
you make the pull request.
Yeah, after. Absolutely. So I do a lot of force pushing to hide the evidence. But yeah. After I make the pull request, I do try and do, it's like, I will type it in chat, git, add, and apparently it's short for patch. and that lets you look at individual changes piece by piece. But all the UIs do this too, where you're like, I just want to add this chunk. Actually, sorry, it's called a hunk. I want to add this hunk and this hunk of code to the commit, and then you can, separate out your commits or just ignore the parts that are garbage. But git add p and pull requests, I am so sloppy naturally, and I have to at least double check. Probably the worst thing is after like one round of fixing the code that I already pushed to the pull request, I will then have a second round that I have to look over it again. And do I find stuff later that I regret? Not bugs per se, but yes, like poorly named variables, for example, or in my case, lots of comments that don't make sense anymore or never made sense because I never read them after I'm writing them. Anyway.
Mine is definitely leaving in comments that are supposed to be temporary.
Yeah.
It's like, when you finish implementing this, remove this comment.
Yeah, that ain't happening. I literally don't see green in the text editor.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if that's a common thing, though. Like, comments are intended to be for developers to be able to know what other developers are doing. But at the same time, it's like, your code is self-documenting if you name your variables correctly and whatever. But, like, do developers start becoming immune to green text in their editor?
I certainly am. Anyway, I really have to focus to like see it. And anyway, Napalm put a method name that could not be real. Could not be real.
I like it. I'd use it now. It's a balance, of course. It's like, if it's taking you, like, if it's a method named this long, obviously reevaluate whether you should be naming it that. But if it's something that you just can't quite narrow down yet, like get a count number from, I don't know, from something, then type it out and then refine it so that you can see it and see what's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's like a first draft when writing, which of course I'm a novelist. That's not true. But you know what I mean. Like when you're writing, you write a first draft. Yeah.
Tab heroes.
Hey, related. Picking up tab. I don't know if he's talking about what is the thing? Copilot tab completion or just like...
I think this one would be regular IntelliSense.
Okay. Because unrelated, apparently. The Copilot, I've been using it this week heavily. And just an...
like you aren't sure? Or...
I'm saying I thought it was related, but if he was talking about IntelliSense,
oh, I thought you said you think you were using Copilot. Like
I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. So
it's whether or not this is related. But yes, go ahead.
So anyway, it's working really well for me, but then it has limitations. So I was helping setting up a reverse proxy called Caddy, and they have a Caddy file. And you know what? It both did some good stuff, and then it did some bad stuff. And I think I have not seen it do much good so far. So I was very impressed with like, hey, I have this Python website that does almost nothing. I need to add a health check to it, and I could basically tell it to do that, and it did it. Then I needed to mess with the logging, and it did it. And then I did some other stuff and had to do it myself. So is
this you being impressed by it, or?
I am. Yeah, everything I say is so like conflicted. That's how
we need to clarify.
Yeah. In summary, I was very impressed.
Oh, cool.
However, it
Okay.
is not a panacea. There you
Oh,
go.
true. Yes, very true. Oh my gosh, yes.
This- I read Twitter, and there are lots of how do I say ebullient? I'm using big words.
Ooh, what is that word?
It's a good word. It's not a swear, I promise.
Oh.
Anyway, a lot of happy users that are very enthusiastic about yeah, it's a real word. It's the right word to
boiling,
use.
agitated, characterized by ebullience, having or showing liveliness and enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. Wow. There we go. I could have just said enthusiastic. But I didn't want to.
But no, this has more meaning behind it, so I like it. It
really.
fits. I'm trying to justify. Let me justify it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of enthusiastic LLM experiences being reported on Twitter, but I don't see it yet. But then again, I'm still using Copilot, which is GPT 3.5 probably. Not even 4.0, not even the Anthropic one. So there's a lot of options that I haven't even looked into. Yep. So, how's your day going?
Water. Was that wrong? I think that was wrong. I used to do that a lot. Whenever someone would say so, I would say pea water. Is
that I just thought I missed it. I was like, no. I didn't hear that right.
No. Like soapy water.
No.
So, okay. Moving on.
No.
Next, please.
Yeah. I'm just looking at your code. I don't know.
My code is terrible. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was actually just trying to see what Copilot would do if I tried to make it create another bot for me. Like, what other bot can you think of? Maybe a YouTube bot service, for example. And then what I was thinking is, like, I'm using this interface that is currently only inheriting from Discord bot service, and then both of them are going to have these anyway, so why not make an abstract class? And then people will be like, because why would you have an abstract class on top of an interface?
That's me. They have extension methods. I guess if you're no, screw it. Yeah, just do extension, what do they call them? Extension methods on interfaces now?
Yeah, like I've been really interested in figuring out where I would use those.
Instead of abstract classes. Just have my opinion where you're just like, I'm trying to avoid abstract classes with all my heart. I don't know why I hate them so much, but maybe I've had bad experiences. So, anyway, it's all good.
I turned it into an abstract class.
Okay.
But yeah, I still don't know what I would do with that for this.
What's up?
How do you feel about AutoMapper?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just baiting. I'm just baiting a rant.
Okay.
You're definitely allowed to rant.
It's not a rant. I'm mostly positive on it. This is where, like, do you believe you need to have separate entities from your DTOs? Like, I have not, honestly, I don't pay attention when you're coding. I'm lurking, and I
fine.
do not, mostly
I don't do anything interesting, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, snap. But in your financial management, you map from entities to DTOs, correct?
Kind of, yes.
Like
I'm terrible at naming things DTOs and naming things view models because I use the same model that comes back from the API in my UI. So is it a DTO or is it a view model?
So if for you that is working, I'm so flexible. I don't care anymore. Like I used to be like, I think things like clean architecture will dictate that you must separate. And I've actually seen bugs and had to deal with DTOs on the client side or let's call them view models. View models everywhere. I've had to deal with view models that have had like dead properties and extra properties and the wrong type on a property. And then you have to get into weird situations where you're mapping an integer to a string and then you have to map it back and parse it on the way back. But like everything's ugly. Duplicating every DTO in the system, which by the way is just generic term. Duplicating each one of these takes time, even if you have AutoMapper. What do we got? Yeah, that brought him out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Napalm, I will refuse to read your stuff about abstract classes.
I'll read them.
DTO's value object.
They're money.
DTOs and value objects entities shall never meet. And he's not in his. I think it even gets weirder with ORMs because they have a lot of like lazy loading, so you absolutely have to map those out, especially on the way out. And I'm saying out from database to your UI, you have to map them just to exercise every single one of those properties.
Right. And by exercise, you also mean hydrate.
Yeah, that's the word. Them's the word. All right. President Not Sure says you have had good luck with abstract boo. But now with partial classes, hey, there we go. I don't have to use them.
Yeah, I like partial classes because like one thing that I do a lot with my state classes is I'll have a set of properties that are for that state class and then a set of events that are essentially public fields, but some events with some logic for those events, and I put those in a separate class file. But it's the same class, so I just use it as a partial.
All right, I'll just summarize. I like AutoMapper. I have not seen it abused. And I think
you haven't seen my code completely then.
It's bad. The best use case is mapping from an entity as an entity framework entity, like loading from the database, lazy loading on the back end from the database. Like those are potential things. You've got to map those out. I will also say it's better for a larger project. The best use case for AutoMapper is that it automatically maps fields. So what will happen is 3 months later, you will add 2 new fields to your DTO or to your database, add them to your entity, add them to your DTO, and then you forgot to add them to your mapping class. Now, of course, if you're testing, you'll notice this. But if you use AutoMapper, he will automatically map as long... Yeah, he will automatically map.
Yeah, well, no, as long as right. Because it's as long as the properties have some rule that will match them up automatically, whether it's one is camel case or one has underscores and the other one doesn't. Yeah. And as far as performance hit, that happened, oh my gosh, 2 years ago now. Whenever I was last working on the RMA apps on stream, and I was mapping, or I set up a whole bunch of mapping profiles, and I think that's what I'm going to find here, for way too many mappings where I had to manually adjust because the database column names were something weird, and then I wanted to C-sharpify them. And what I had been doing is just using extension methods on every single one of my DTOs to map them, because that seemed to be faster, but is this the one? Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
So when you tell it to dependency inject and it does this on the first load of the page, then yeah, that's going to be a big performance hit. So I found out.
I guess. I'm used to web apps, so like you just don't put it in the load balancer until it's ready, which is fine. AKA, it doesn't really matter how slow
I like
it
the
is to
source
start.
code.
What do we got? Napalm's been on fire.
Yeah,
Got a lot of
I like
stuff.
his idea though. If we can take like our existing automapper profile, mapping profile, and then have this do source gen to where it does create those extension methods, sure, your files are going to get bigger, your file size is going to get bigger, but in the end it will run faster, so I guess that's the trade-off. What Peter was talking about, by the way, is if you just do a create map from some source entity to your DTO, then all you have to do is just that, and then .reverse map. No defining form member or anything like that. It does it all for you, as long as the property names match up.
I will also confess, I didn't know reverse map existed because I have used AutoMapper on a project that someone else set up. And so I've maintained stuff, but I haven't ever really set it up myself. So real talk. Hey, real talk.
But you do have insights about it though, still good insights. Where if you're doing simple entity to DTO or even DTO to view model, where there's only a few properties that are different, or maybe you're collapsing a list into multiple view models. And there you go.
That's very reasonable. That's a very reasonable take.
But for me, it's like,
to.
I'm mapping these entities to lookup item view models which contain that entity as a property. The shame of it. But yeah, that's another discussion too. Can you use DB entities, the models for the entities, not necessarily the result that you get back from the database, but the model from the entity as your DTO?
I mean, I've seen it. So basically, what is that called? It's not rich domain, it's anemic. It's fine. Anyway, it can work. You can also put all of your logic in your UI and controllers and all that. And that works too.
That's terrible.
That's why I was saying, like, it can work, but I read somewhere where they said it's weird how .NET, the tendency is always to overcomplicate stuff. So all y'all need to focus on that statement and just say, am I overcomplicating stuff?
I know I am. The question I need answered is, how do I change? How do I adjust that?
I mean, putting logic and controllers is a start, but I don't actually.
No, man. You mean not feel bad about doing that? TBD, whoa. I don't overcomplicate. I solve with style.
No.
How am I supposed to claim that my code solution is elegant if I don't do it that way?
We have Mojo refuses to interrupt us and ask questions.
Well, Mojo, you said that you had that was your segue to griping and ranting about AutoMapper. So please take the floor.
Oh no. I'm just trying to bait live coding here.
Bait live coding into it.
If you go to Discord and put, from PCL and never, you get a lot of like, never do this. Quotes from him.
Awesome.
Never use abstract classes.
I've never used Discord that way, but if you guys do want some tips and tricks on what not to do, go into our Discord and type in from user PCLs. Seal? Single? You're only singular? Wow, I thought you were always plural.
Yeah.
And never.
A lot of them start with, these are my thoughts, don't take advice from me.
Yeah.
At least I've learned to put that disclaimer in. And then I feel better after I've dumped it out. And then, can go about my day. And y'all can go about your day ignoring. But all right, we got so much in chat. Extension methods have been good. He's talking about mapping. Yeah, I just make a static map method.
Yeah, that's what I've been
and
doing. Well, not static, just an extension method.
yeah, I should be
same thing.
using
Same thing.
extensions, but I haven't been. Real talk. Real talk. Where do y'all put CSS minification? Oh, this is from someone named Mojo. Is manually compiling your best bet? See, who cares about CSS minification? Like, anyway,
Well,
I fought many arguments.
Because of DevTools, because this does a nice job of making everything look pretty for you while you're looking at your stuff, and the fact that I use Sass and that generates the minified CSS, then I really only ever need to reference the minified CSS in my style tag in my head.
For a little bit of context here, I don't have a choice. Essentially, like, we're using it, or sorry, we have the minified file in our current app, and anyway, I've made some CSS changes that I didn't realize never made it to production because they weren't compiled to be in the minified version, and we don't have that in the process. So on on local, like, everything looked fine.
Yeah, that's .NET's a little weird about. I've never had a good answer for building front end assets, like, and I've seen a bunch of things. I would never use minification. There you go. There's a never. I don't actually mean that, but I do. As someone who put on his resume that I reduced a 3 megabyte payload to payload was not cached. So every time someone visited a frequent page, they would get a 3 megabyte payload, and
Every time.
Anyway,
Jeez.
every time it actually fixed some stuff. As someone who has done that, I will say minification doesn't matter. Gzip it, whatever. Just solve your problem. But I'm again waffling. But like, I just don't.
We'll keep
think it
waffling.
matters
I will be
until
right back while you keep waffling because I have a package that just got delivered.
All right. Don't let it get robbed.
No.
All right. tbdgamer doesn't overcomplicate. I solve with style. Excellent. Napalm. Don't overcomplicate. I write static extend. Okay, that is actually not overcomplicated. It was just bad timing because tbdgamer said something sarcastic. Okay, AI. AWS state machines, man.
When he walks away, we just become faceless voices.
But I can hear you still, and you have an avatar at the top left.
Yeah, and it lights up.
We need little, like, what Settlix has.
Oh yeah, that would be cool if I knew how to do it.
Yeah, sounds very fancy.
Not gravatars, VTuber avatars.
Yeah, we're VTubers. Just look like a Discord call in progress. That's our.
Whose only animation is to light up.
Yeah. It's yeah.
I wonder what this could be.
Minify your HTML. Yeah. Okay. Where just by having a job come Monday. Yeah, it's rough.
So by one day he means one work day, even though he has all weekend but doesn't plan to do anything with it over the weekend. I
agree.
I wouldn't.
Contrary coding. Yeah, fair enough. I haven't had one situation where I was like, gee, I should write a state machine. I don't think I know the pattern. I think it's more of like load from a database type thing. Like just acknowledging you have state that changes. And I don't mean state that changes. I mean a status or a, like, I am in this state status, like an approval workflow. That's a pretty easy. It gets created, it's waiting approval, it gets approved, and then it is done. I actually made that too complicated, but whatever. Like, that's a simple thing. Like, yeah, you don't write state machine code. We're all database programmers. You write to the database, and then you load from the database. So it doesn't look like a gang of 4 state machine pattern, which, by the way, I don't know how to implement. So just enjoy that thought.
I just
what
have
do we
no
got?
idea what an AWS state machine is and why that would be a different thing.
AWS has probably a workflow engine, which state machines workflow is kind of the same thing. And you probably store, I have used one called Simple Workflow with Amazon, and I took down production with it. It was a fun.
Oh, good grief.
Anyway, so about that, I also left my desk because I didn't know I had taken down production. They found me later. And they had fixed it without me, thankfully. All right, what do we got? How do I loop through 4,000 items and execute a PHP script in groups of 4? tbdgamer, take your text there and then paste it into ChatGPT along with the relevant code. See what poops out.
So now he's suddenly an advocate for using ChatGPT, at least as a start, though. Be wary.
Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised this week.
Yeah, I've loved using it. There are a lot of times when I have to review I review the code no matter what because, but it gets me most of the way there. And it's stuff that I would have typed anyway. It just does it for me.
Paul agrees, forums over data, buying houses and cars, etc.
That is not a fun fact.
What?
Oh, I'm just testing out the bot, and I thought dog fact would give me facts. That's information.
I mean, it's a fact. It's a fact, and it involves a dog. So, as advertised. Yeah, it's more like a history lesson. Anyway.
It's more like
is that
a
the wrong...
reminder of Price is Right. Remember to have your pet spayed or neutered.
Facts don't have to be fun. That's true.
Yeah.
Y'all, I was looking at was it not Code Help, or I can't remember which channel, and if I switch away, I'm afraid I'll get cut out of the call forever.
Well, you tell me and I'll navigate to it.
JavaScript Help.
Oh,
yes.
He just did it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
So, JavaScript Help channel, it's just Blue was trying to get help, but I think I've said this to my architect as well. Like, yes, there is a problem in the code, but like, you've got to get a good, we need to have those errors bubbled up. I think if you have a bug in the code and then your errors aren't visible, the worst problem for me is that the errors aren't visible, because inevitably something's going to break. So the fact that it took a lot of back and forth to figure out that the server-side call was failing.
Oops. Yeah.
It's tough.
And I still don't understand like his statement or their statement about the string interpolation being the thing that was causing this request to fail, because it really didn't seem like it.
I didn't read too much. And by the way, single quotes definitely are interpreted differently. They need to have the backticks.
Yeah, these are backticks. Yeah.
So, like, do they not have V6 or? This is where I was like, I don't know.
So this is the JavaScript string interpolation where if you use $sign quotation marks in C#, you just put curly braces in your variable name. This is what that looks like in JavaScript. And if you don't happen to use any variables in that, like if it's just a literal string, it's not going to fail. Shouldn't fail. It's gets turned into a string.
See, I think the interpolation is a red herring. It's
I do too. I agree.
Because the server's just returning a 400.
Right.
I will say I am so much happier now that I know how to run curl. And I think people who get good at Postman and similar stuff, like, just, it's a lot of pain to get set up, especially if you have some really, like, obscure login system. Like my last job, we had to log in with cookies. I'm sure curl would not have been very easy to use.
Yeah.
Like we log in and they return a cookie. I mean, so anyway, anyway, this is it feels like the main problem is that they don't have their errors bubbling up on their JavaScript side.
Yeah, because like if it's only returning a 400 and they can't see the actual error message.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Then they're living like I was on my last job, where we just had no idea why anything broke, and I had to have the network tab open. And by the way, rant number 2 for the day. This is only the second one. I don't know how many we got. Rant number 2 for the day. You absolutely need 2 monitors if you do Chrome, if you have Chrome development tools open. Like that, the development tools window at best is half a window. And then you need the browser, and then you need your code. And some Twitch streamers are psychopaths and they manage it on one small screen, but they're psycho.
Yeah, but that's only because everyone needs to see the things. I use, like when I'm doing dev, I have this on my 4K monitor exploded huge so that I can see the entire Visual Studio stuff, and then the browser on this screen so that I can be like a normal people and have it on 1080.
Interesting. Yeah, see, you've had to deal with this too.
A bit. A bit. But yeah, that, I guess that's also another thing. When I am sitting over there, which I am on Tuesdays and Thursdays because I started getting lazy and not standing all day, there's only one screen at that workstation computer thing. So I do have my browser on one side and Visual Studio on the other, but again, it's 4K, so they're all like, it's pretty much having 4 1080 monitors on that screen.
Oh.
So, same concept.
Okay. Yeah, that counts. Someone look into 8K TVs right now. Tell me if a single 8K TV can be hooked up at 60 hertz and full color definition. Yeah. I don't know how to say full color range because apparently they compress the colors.
Yeah,
those are
and I know
numbers.
it has to do with the oh, I had to look this up recently when I was trying to find a good TV. But the way that the actual RGB LEDs are arranged, whether you get the 4 square thing, I forget. You know what? Oh, I can't because I'm not logged in. I don't want to ask Gemini or Bing or ChatGPT a question
There's
about
an
TVs.
Anthropic. They're not gonna know. I give up on stuff like that.
Well, it was more so because I didn't want to go into Gemini and have that in my history.
Oh, nice.
But I'll do it anyway.
No, don't compromise your values.
60. What is it called? FPS? No, hertz, right?
60 hertz. FPS is
Yes, it can. However, you won't be able to fully utilize the TV's capabilities.
Yeah. And I'm not looking for HDR, but I do think I want to be able to plug in a work laptop into this 8K TV and have it in full definition, and then I can use it basically as 4 monitors. And there's even a Windows program. There's
I mean, essentially that's what I'm doing. So, yeah.
All right, Mojo, what are your thoughts on AK? And I asked because I have to take a bio break. See, I know how to use.
I'm too poor to have thoughts on AK.
They're only $999 to start.
I buy those like $100 Black Friday TVs.
Understandable. But yeah, I guess his answer is, according to this, yes. Yes is the answer. Okay, Napalm, thank you so much. Bring those opinions here. Tell them to have your meter. I like opinions.
I may have thoughts. I think my parents have one. I've never seen anybody do it with like the resolution set correctly, because a lot of people, I don't know what the effect is called, but there's like some dynamic coloring effect that people leave on their TV. So when you're watching some show,
oh yeah, I hate that.
The people are just like, I don't know what to call it.
It's called motion comfort, eye comfort or something.
Oh, it makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't like it. I hate that. I did everything that I could. I have a Samsung TV, and it's really, really hard to get rid of the soap opera effect on this TV. Like, really hard. But it's cool, I guess.
Oh, it's the soap opera effect.
Yes.
Motion interpolation. Okay.
Is that what you were talking about?
Well, it does look like a soap opera, so I think that is what I was talking about.
There's that, and then there is a color fixer where it adjusts the color of the picture for you using AI, of course, and it's called Filmmaker Mode, specifically on Samsung TVs.
Interesting.
And that's another one that I really don't like, because it completely blows out the colors on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, next time I visit my parents, I'll try to fix it.
So, one, turn Filmmaker Mode off, set the contrast and brightness yourself, the gamma and color balance. Ugh. And then it's extra hard when you I think you were probably starting to say they some people have that on when they have their computer hooked up to it, because that's another issue. If your TV doesn't have like game mode and it's constantly doing the motion interpolation, your mouse moves all warbly.
Yeah, you got to turn off every feature. In fact, my last TV monitor, like it had a game mode and it was still very laggy.
Oh,
and so me and my coworkers spent a lot of time at work. It was very productive. It was very productive. But we spent like 20 minutes like turning off every feature individually. I think that was an LG, one of the cheaper bottles. And yeah, we had to turn it off piece by piece, and thankfully it kept those settings. Because every now and then, like, game mode will turn off. Like, I basically have that set for all my TVs anyway. Like, I don't care. I just want the original picture. Anyway. And by TVs, I mean TV. I do own a TV in my living room. I'm gonna let y'all know.
What's a living room?
It's fair. It's fair.
I don't. I was starting to agree with TBD, and I was typing it out.
Why do I feel bad in a living room?
You what?
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
I might have misheard you.
Oh, I was just asking what a living room is. tbdgamer was saying that he has a 1080p 55-inch Samsung TV from 2012, and his wife still doesn't see the point in upgrading. I was like, I definitely feel for you, because I do have a computer hooked up to pretty much every screen in the house, which is 3. Oh no, except for that. Anyway, and having the extra resolution real estate on the screens is extremely helpful. That's all.
I have this grinds my gears about resolution and display settings. At work, I have two, I don't know, 20-something inch 1080p monitors, and then my laptop is a Surface, with better resolution. I'm anal about getting the mouse to stay in the same spot, like horizontally,
Oh
laterally,
no.
whichever
You
way.
would hate my screens then.
But it is like it feels impossible when when I have to base this on resolution.
Right.
That's
No,
very
that's exactly
real.
how my screens are. The one that you see on stream is 1080, and it actually is a 1080 monitor. I can't go beyond that. And then the one that OBS and Discord bot and chat, or Discord and the Twitch bot, that's 4K. And then the one next to that is also 4K, but a different size. So moving the mouse straight across is like
Committing violence against the
Yeah.
mouse cursor position.
I
No, it's
apologize,
real.
Mojo.
I hear you. I made fun of you in chat, but that, by the way, there's a whole like Family Guy where he has a TV segment called "It Grinds My Gears," and he just keeps, and I think he keeps it too real. Is the plot of the episode? So he keeps it a little too real, and it goes badly.
I
for
kind
him.
of remember
Anyway.
that. It's been a long time since I've watched any shows
Yeah.
like that. Futurama, Family. I've seen every episode of both of them too,
Oh.
and then I stopped.
What else we got? By the way, I am out at
remember.
12:30. I'm just declaring it. I've got a hard stop. That's our work.
Well, you make sure
That's
you
all.
do your stand up before you drop.
I will do that.
See me admonishing you for trying to leave early.
We're doing stand up right now, and I shouldn't leave early.
We've been doing stand up the whole
Disrespectful.
time.
Yeah. I don't. I'm sure you had a few stand-ups where you were talking about 8K TVs and talking about very
No more.
nitpicky.
Those days are
code
gone.
things.
No, don't bring up past trauma.
Future trauma, more like.
No, stop that. Stop that. That's just called dread.
That's.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
What have we got? Just reading all of chat. Hey, did anyone watch the Visual Studio conference this week? They're live right now. Someone's learning
The
Blazor.
Aspire one? Is that what it is?
Yeah. I need to learn. I promised to give it a fair shake like 4 months ago, and then spent 10 minutes on 5 minutes on it. So
I didn't watch any of it. I'm not even ready for that yet, if ever.
It's like Fedora.
Also another technology
we're back
I
to the
don't know.
Linux. Are we in the Linux channel now?
I don't think it's bad. And I mean, I'm using it. But at this point, I'm like, I understand if you don't want to go through the headache. Because like right now, if I follow the docs for their keycloak component, it's not going to work. There's just like issues that like aren't in the docs, and troubleshooting them, there's no Stack Overflow anymore, or for this, it's too new. So like the Discord's not a great place for like bugs, but the Discord's the most active.
Interesting.
So just know if you get into it, if it's a newer piece, there's going to be headaches.
So I guess it is kind of something that I heard of. Fedora is a distribution of Linux.
Yep.
Yeah. There's like 3 main upstream repos.
Trying to find the right words.
There's 3 main repos, and like most other distros, and then most other distros are just some other flavor of those 3 ones.
I used GNOME at university, and that's about it. all I can remember. Oh, and of course I use Ubuntu WSL because that's what got installed.
You're not allowed to say that. I'm here.
I will not say what I was gonna say out of respect.
You can say
we
it.
are in stand-up.
You have 3 minutes. You can say it.
It's out of respect. So
Okay,
For who?
so long story short, if you ever apply for them and you make it past their screening, the
you know
next
this is public, and he's gonna record it.
then no, the next thing you get is like
He's like,
I'll send the email. I have like a redacted version. Well, it's just like my name's redacted. They ask you like college level like application essay level questions, and then you have to like write out an essay. They're like, hey, like, how were you at math in high school? This wasn't for an internship. This wasn't for a job that a 20-year-old should be doing. So like how I did in math in high school for a marketing job felt very irrelevant. Math for marketing
in high school.
I don't know. That is, well, I think they're saying like if you don't have it, but even so, like, yeah, that is crazy. I am so happy.
It was what I was reading is like they're trying to find passionate people, and then I was also reading separately that the pay is kind of low industry wide, and it for me it seems like one of those things where passion. They're finding people with passion, and they could pay less. These are my thoughts and opinions. I have no idea if Canonical does this.
Everything that is said on here is our own thoughts and opinions. We know this.
Sometimes not even our own thoughts.
Sometimes we get tuned in. Sometimes we get tuned in. That's all.
If I had to take a stance just to argue, I'll take a stance. I don't have to believe in it.
There you go. It makes for compelling content. See you on ESPN daytime shows.
Hey, we've been on ESPN3 when they have the Excel Collegiate Challenge.
Really?
Our app has.
That's fun.
Which
that's
part
awesome.
of it? ESPN or the Excel Collegiate Challenge? Esports.
I think it. Hey, you're on Twitch. You can't even hint that esports is dumb because it isn't. Because I love it and I pay attention to the Dota scene.
To the Dota.
Dota. I always say Dota. Dota. Like it sounds like I'm slurring. Anyway, so I take the time to say Dota. Even though it sounds even weirder, but it doesn't sound weirder. The alternative.
Is it a Texas thing? Because like I don't pronounce my T's that well. They're mostly.
I mean, I don't either, and I'm from the Midwest. Or I grew up in the Midwest.
No, buttons, not buttons. Buttons.
Buttons.
My nephews and nieces were overseas and were taught by British people, and they said like butter, and they would like take the time to hit all the T's, and it was anyway. Don't worry, they'll survive. They'll be fine. But
yeah. I mean, the T is there. I feel like it should be pronounced.
Oh, our way is best. With that, I will give my stand-up. I will finish my stand-up, which I've been. We got a little distracted, but I just want to say. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'm not even here. No blocker.
I don't even know where that window is, but I'm sure he's gone already. There's going to be an ad in like 8 seconds, so we won't talk about anything important like we have been doing this whole time. Talking about only the important things. And then it gets all quiet.
Siri bot says, "Ooh, hold up. Where's my phone?"
Wait, the ad's already over? It's supposed to be a 1.5-minute ad to disable pre-rolls for the next 30 minutes.
The timestamps?
I don't have timestamps turned on
Oh,
because lazy.
yeah, maybe we just missed the 90-second ad break.
Well, I saw it when it said 30 seconds remaining, and that's right when Peter was doing his stand up. Whatever, doesn't matter. Napalm said it was over. Napalm president
TBD, is
said it was
that a random meeting that was just put on today out of nowhere?
I hate those.
That's a promotion.
It's a promotion on a Friday afternoon, close to the end of the day.
You've been promoted to more free time. I'm just kidding. If that gives you anxiety. Oh, it's just you and him? If HR is not on there, you're good. Now, if a third
So
window pops up in
creepy.
this meeting, let us know. Start live streaming. Don't do that. I mean,
I get fired now. Selling video games business. You have to get through Liquid Sky first. So say we all. I'm playing with scissors. I don't think I'm allowed to do that on stream. I'm just itching to open this box that arrived. Thanks to you.
you can open it. I don't know what you're gonna do with it.
Nothing. Stare at it. Be like, I can't wait.
Yeah, that I when I had to fix my my DAC, I was like, oh man, I need a USB. I need a USB B port.
I have no idea what shape that is.
Yeah, the little almost pentagon, the little house-looking one
Yeah.
that I just know printers have. I always call it the printer cable. Is that A?
It's B.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know my letters. It's the house. Yeah, the house. The
This one.
because I was trying to figure that quickly, I didn't want to wait from Amazon, and Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore. So I was like looking all around the house, and like the music equipment was the only stuff that had it, and I was like, I can't take it out of that. Then I ended up finding an Arduino, and I was like, oh, thank you.
That's what I used.
Yeah.
That's what I ended up using.
Nice.
In fact.
Oh, actually,
it's still right here.
Are you talking about the blue cable?
Mine is gray.
Oh, like, wait, did you have to like take a port out of that too? I had to take the port out, like,
the actual this part.
Yeah, I desoldered that because my was broken.
This one down here. No, I had to actually take, or I only took the cable that I was using for my Arduino, or using for my Arduino. Like I'm actually doing anything with it.
I think the box you got today has a blue. Cable.
I guess I'll open
blue
it.
One of those cables that I believe was also from the Arduino.
Oh, do you need it back?
No,
because
I've got like a million. I've got that box upstairs that has cables that I've been asked to throw out, but they're not being thrown out because they come to use. I donated box, 2 of them, I think. There's probably 2 in there.
Massive. Not massive, broken. The box that has all of the cables in it, because everyone has it. I know you all do too. This is an unboxing, everyone.
We have Xbox cables. We don't have an Xbox. Like the old Xbox, just Xbox, not the 360. I don't know what you call that. It's not the one.
Xbox
the one came
Classic.
out years later. The one is like number 4. I don't think it's taped. And
the answer is only the hard drive. Unless
Oh
it's
yeah, that
inside the
one.
box.
My cable inside the box, but that hard drive I did not have the cable for because I only have one of those that I can find.
Oh yeah, I
So
definitely have this one. Actually, I have it
okay.
right here.
Oh nice. Those cables are weird.
Yeah.
I think they're just for hard drives. I've only ever seen them for that.
Yeah, where one is for power and the other is for the actual data.
Huh.
That's fun. There would be a lot more streams in between shipping eBay packages. That was the whenever a door opens. Excuse me. Anyway.
I'll be right back. My dog is crying to go out. You want to go outside? All right. Oh wait, I'll wait for you to
I
get
want
back.
to play with
I
you
don't want
now.
to leave.
I am back. I was back.
Okay.
I was here the whole time. Do the thing. So cool. I've been missing everything, but thankfully Peter was keeping on top of all of the chat because he's really good at that and I'm not. The only thing that I didn't read out, or neither of us read out, were the cat fact and dog facts that Dukasoft was teaching us SiriBot knows how to do. Still not as fun as dad jokes. 2 for the price of 16. Printer cables, yeah, pretty much. But these are actually for audio equipment. Hello, Dragon Poop Meow. How's it going? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today is Friday, and I don't know if you have just been lurking, but on our stream on Fridays, we do Community Day. And this is a day when I invite any of you into either Discord, a voice channel in Discord, where you can use your voice to have conversations about whatever topics that are relevant to this channel, like projects you're working on, software development topics, technology topics, some adjacent topics to those, but hopefully not too far out in left field. Or you could also just chat and bring up whatever topics you want to hear discussed or to discuss. So whatever works for you. You can use your toes, but your voice will work better in a voice chat. I don't know what I said. What is the career prospect of .NET? It depends on where you are, what company you're planning on trying to voice. Oh, you can use your... That's what I said. Because I needed to clarify that you can use your voice as opposed to using your toes. But you could also communicate using other verbal means, noise generators that are Vocaloid. In... Oh, this is not working. But that is a great question, though. In my area, there are tons, and well, I don't know if I can say tons. There are enough .NET jobs for plenty of people to be fully employed as a .NET developer. The overall possibility that you'll get hired for one of those positions may be low because for whatever reason, and this is industry-wide, not just .NET, all of the requirements for getting a job in software development are must have at least 4 years of experience and a degree. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. There are some tasks where having a brand new developer that may not have even gone to university, but has been passionate about doing software development, and they would perform very, very, very well. It's a risk, and I understand why companies have trouble going that route, but still quite odd. So if you can prove that you are able to do whatever the .NET role is, a lot of times it is in government or what's the other? In finance that you'll find .NET jobs. Yeah, see? Peter says that his CTO has no college degree. It's definitely doable. You might poke at him for it, though. So for junior devs, it may be tougher, says TBD. But there are a lot of senior roles I'm seeing make it an or relevant experience. Yeah. And that's what I wish happened more. Like the position that I left at Sagetti, they were trying to require a bachelor's degree for someone that had already been doing .NET for at minimum the past 5 years. .NET could mean C#. So the question that Dragon asked is .NET equal to C#? I don't .NET as a language in LeetCode. I don't see .NET. So yeah, C# is, if that's an option that you have in LeetCode, that would be a .NET technology. But .NET as a whole is the entire ecosystem for developing software. So it is the tools needed, Visual Studio. It's the frameworks for building software up. You could do it in different languages like Visual Basic or F#. So there are plenty of different languages that you could use for .NET development. President Usher says, don't waste too much time with LeetCode. Nothing there is actually relevant to a job, only potentially an interview, which is kind of relevant to the job. So I agree with you to a degree, President Usher. But at the same time, there are some positions and some companies that, for whatever reason, think that the interviews need to be some kind of aptitude test, as opposed to gauging whether or not you're going to work on the team and be able to, I mean, like, I guess that is the definition of aptitude test, but be able to do the things that you say you can do to help on the team. But it's just so, it's done so poorly. That's like, solve this specific problem and tell me all of the common things that you memorized before this interview that are going to be an issue for this, what are they called? DSAs? For this DSA question. And that really doesn't speak much to your actual skill. And so TBD on his stream, speaking of, if you have never been to a TBD stream, you should definitely check him out. I'll say more about this in a second. Gamer. Oh, he's already been shouted out. Here is the, oh yeah. Oh, I already forgot what it was, Dewsoft, with the shout out thingy that he did through SiriBot. But here's his page, his Twitch channel, whatever it's called. So I was saying, does it even matter? Oh, what tbdgamer says that he thinks is a better idea, which is like, let's give a relevant to what we're currently working on coding challenge to the interviewee, give them a day or two to work on it with whatever resources they have, come back to you with their solution for that thing. That's more of a competency test than giving them some random thing that they may have memorized and are just going to forget 2 days into working for you, with you, whatever. Is .NET JavaScript NPM? So .NET has a package manager called NuGet Package Manager. I know, same acronym, that you can go to use other people's code, other libraries, and just import them into your project. But that is a part of .NET as well. And President Nasher says, I've had take-home exercises like that. It is better than some programming tricks evaluation. Yeah. And again, me personally, I understand the whole, let's have a conversation about this specific problem. Let's see what you know. Maybe they are using it to gauge how much stuff do you memorize and rehearse, and what are you doing differently to stand out from the other people that memorize this exact thing. And then when you do run into struggles, or when they do throw in whatever random scenario happens that restrict you from being able to solve it the way that you would solve it, like, what if, and it's like, that would never happen. However, this is how I would handle that. That they're just gauging your problem solving abilities and your communication abilities, but that could be done in a different way. because that's just stressful. It's not helpful. Simplify says, I want to make WPF oscilloscope logic analyzer. Don't want to use Oxyplot or other libraries. Having tough times with custom controls in WPF. What port? Oh my goodness. Is it something that you have open source that we could clone? Because we can look at it on stream if you want. I don't know very much WPF myself, but I have made one custom control, which was a window. I deleted all the code. So I made a custom control that was a customizable window, since in WPF for Windows 10 and before, you don't have easy access to the Windows API. But then, you know, from Windows 11 and on, you can use the Windows API to do things like customize the title bar, background color, and all that stuff. But before that, you have to use Window Chrome. So anyway, I made a custom control that detects what version of Windows are you using. Does it support the new Windows API with the title bar API? If not, then use Window Chrome. If so, then let it use its regular window, but customize the title bar. And that was my solution to that issue. If you're interested in seeing my struggles, there are like 10 streams, 10 posted videos on my YouTube channel. The very first ones that are public are me just struggling and failing at that exact thing until I finally got it. But yeah, if you do have any specific things for what you're running into with the custom Windows, custom WPF control, just let us know. There are some people that are really good at WPF. And Mojo said that he got a random call, work call. It's almost over. That's what I keep saying. Like, there are times when I used to, at the place I used to work, I'd get a call while I'm lurking on someone's stream, or not really lurking. At that point, I'm like probably chatting with them occasionally during my work, and we'll get into some important thing that I'm talking, or that they're talking about, that I'm responding to, and then I get a call. And then I'm on that call and it sounds like it's ending. I'm like, okay, I'll be back to talk about that in like a couple minutes. Call's almost ending. And then call keeps going. They end their stream. Call's still going. The point is, no worries, Mojo. No worries. Has anyone actually noticed what I've been doing? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. If you can describe it to me, that'd be great. I think I turned the interface that I was going to be using in this into an abstract class, because it made sense to define these in one place if they're going to be defined in all of my bot services. And yeah, I think you did the thing on the thing, then move the widget. The widget was what I forgot. So I moved the widget into the abstract class, and then that's now defined on everything as saying you must implement this. And so essentially, if you don't know what this is that I'm distracting myself with, it's the bot that we have on stream. So we already have a bot on stream. Its name is Automated Realms. Greet the people. Good boy, or good thing. It prefers to be called it and that and they. So we have a bot already that responds to certain chat things. We have the one bot game that it responds to as well, and a few commands, I guess. So that exists as a Blazor Wasm locally deployed to a folder on my machine that I have running as a service, and I've been wanting to update it and clean it up so that I can post it in my GitHub as an open source project. And I was like, when I'm doing that, I may as well just go ahead and refactor it completely and make it nice and clean. However, I don't really work on it during our community days, which is the only time that I plan to work on it. So I never actually get anything done on it. But if you are interested in seeing any of the structure, we can talk about that. I also try to use it as an example for how I would structure modern applications if I were to start from scratch now. So this is a Blazor web app, which Blazor again is another framework for Dragon. This is another framework that is used within the .NET ecosystem. It's specifically used for creating, well, I guess Blazor itself is specifically used for creating UI. The Blazor project template is typically a web application. It's a single page application version of web applications. If you think of other component type frameworks like Vue or Angular or React. I don't know if Vue is actually component based, but React is probably one of the closest, and Angular as well. This is a lot like that, where you have one page that is the page that everything loads into, that your app loads into, and then you have a whole bunch of components that get swapped out based off of page actions and interactions and stuff like that. Whew. And so this is a way for .NET devs who were used to working in HTML, CSS, and C# and didn't really want to do very much JavaScript stuff themselves. This is a way for them to be able to use C# everywhere. So all of their UI code that would normally be written in JavaScript can be written in C# now. And that's the main draw, I think, for using Blazor as the UI. Another benefit of using Blazor is that you can use the same UI that you write, and you could do this with Angular as well, but you use the same UI that you write for your application for the web. So this is that UI specifically. You can use that in other project types like Maui. And Maui is another framework, another application type, project type, that allows you to write one app and be able to deploy it to Windows, Mac, Tizen, iOS, Android. Did I get them all? Yeah. So same functionality, same app, just running natively in one of those other platforms. Am I selling it? Are you buying it? Mac Catalyst too. Is that different than Mac OS? Ooh, TBD has opinions. I'm pulling you in 3, 2, 1. Mic check.
Hello?
Yes. There.
Hello. I have a question, and it's better to ask this way, because
Okay.
you just said something on the stream, right? The being able to use the same libraries back and forth with like Maui and Blazor, etc. Do you feel that the use case differences introduce a threat of creating platform-specific code in those libraries, and you end up with messier code because you actually are dealing with, oh, well, this is a mobile device, so we treat it differently, we deliver different data.
Yeah. So that's a really good one, especially if you're like thinking about how much content you typically display on a mobile device versus a desktop. And let's say the same API endpoint would send back a different shape of data to a mobile device. And then you can add stuff like depending on the page that you're even on. So yes.
Yeah.
However, I don't think that I would do that myself. Because when I think about writing all of the backend services, I'm thinking about what should this application do as a whole. and that app, that those features and stuff should carry across regardless of what platform you're using. But then again, I haven't developed very much mobile specific code, so maybe there should be a completely different library for that.
Yeah, because one of the things I thought about with building the platform, right? If I was, it's not very mobile friendly, and I don't think it should be mobile friendly because of what I'm building. I think it is meant to be worked on a desktop. But if I was to try and provide a mobile view for it, the data requirements would be quite different. A mobile view might be more focused for things like the developer that wants to see the work they're going to work on, or to kind of read through a story, rather than going through all the requirements and dragging and dropping and whatnot. So one of the benefits GraphQL gives me there is I can build a specific UI for the mobile if I choose to, or even an app that's distinct from that, and GraphQL gives me that data rather than having it built into my models and on this server side and blur all the lines.
That makes perfect sense. I guess Maui, the actual project template does kind of encourage you to put your platform specific code in separate files. And what I interpret that as from my standpoint is because I use an interface for all of the functionality my UI is going to provide, not functionality as in it does the actual work, but it enables the user to perform these tasks. Those services that perform the actual functionality are interfaces, and so if I did have a mobile specific version of that interface, then I would write a completely separate class. Maybe it inherits from the all platforms class and then just overwrites the specific methods that it needs to. Let's say it sends back different data instead. But the point is that no matter what happens, I still have all of my segmentation of, here's my UI. It knows that this class has this method, so I'm just going to call that method and let the platform itself decide how to do that.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So I would say it keeps it clean that way.
Yeah, I didn't know how to ask that in text chat. So
totally okay. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you. Yeah, stream wasn't happening this morning.
Yeah, totally okay. I hope you never feel obligated to. It is great when you do stream, and it's so nice to be able to hang out with you. I know I don't talk very much on your stream, but I'm usually working alongside with you. But I get those productivity vibes, and I feed off of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's good to find
your streams are great though.
Yeah, this morning was dealing with child, so it wasn't really a good time to be to be streaming it. So yeah,
understandable.
Progress was made this week as well. That was a good thing. So
yeah,
being able to move forward with platform stuff.
Well, since you aren't used to it yet, would you like to promote what you do on your stream?
Oh, promote what I do. I faff around with code. I mess around with code. I some things work, some things don't. No, I think for what I'm doing, I mean, we always have a tough time defining it, right? Because I've kind of explained parts of the picture. The overall goal is to create a tool that developers don't have to worry about all the management aspects of doing development, right? The insights and the reporting stuff that we're often assigned to do as part of our role gets pulled away and handed back to product and management above them, and trying to get those requirements out of planning, out of product management is always a challenge. So providing tools for them to write in their wish list and have discussions before it actually looks like work to be done. So because the backlog of Jira, or the backlog of whatever tool you're using, most people use Jira, often gets littered with dream items, or we should definitely do that. You know, we have a habit of, oh well, we've got some technical debt. Just put it in the backlog. We'll get to it later.
Yeah.
Right. So
no
one of the
reminders, no anything about it.
Yeah. So that's why I want to focus on the review date. I want to make sure there's a date that you attach to that, which tells you, I'm going to nag you about this, and I'm also going to tell other people about this as well. if they care about it, they'll get told. By the way, this review date has come around, and you need to review it now. And at least if you push it back down, that's on you. But so there's no ordered backlog. There's no having a product manager that has to go through and kind of figure out what's a wish list item and what's real and not. So the review date is part of that, and the notification system is very much part of that. So I want to build a planning tool first to allow those kind of wish list items to be kind of figured out and talked about, etc., and then move towards story planning and pointing and all those fun things later. But I think if planning can get sorted, it takes the load off.
Follow-up question then. So that was great. That was a lot of people would be excited to test out a platform like this, right, Mojo? According to his chat. But the follow-up question is, do you find it easier to materialize your thoughts when you have to tell someone else, what is this thing that you're working on? Does it make that thing more solid in your mind in what it actually is supposed to be? Or do you still feel kind of nebulous, and as you're developing it, you're still figuring things out?
It does. I do have a lot of stuff written down. Like, I don't share them on the stream, but I made a lot of, like, I kind of did a brain dump before I started this project. And initially, this came about because what I was trying to develop, what frustrates me about the development side of the process is the passing the ball, and that's how I termed it. I said it was passing the ball, right? Because sometimes we have jobs that they're not just on you, they're on other people, and the tools we have don't give insight into that, right? So if there's a piece of my work that has to be done by a different team, how do I handle that, right? It's not on me right now, it's on them. So, and that's still something I'm trying to figure out how I actually want to represent when I get to the story part, which is why the planning part is such a big thing, because I think what will happen there is it will actually generate many stories and many items against different projects. They may link to each other, they may reference each other, but they're independent, so that you can actually see, well, this team's picked up this work item. However, this other team has this associated work item. They haven't even scheduled it yet. And kind of give that visibility. So I kind of had a mad brain dump of, and I kept referring to it as like passing the ball, and I kind of made every analogy to basically playing a game of football, right? Where, you know, if you want to score a goal, you really have to pass to other people.
Or you're just a really good striker and you can go all the way up and down the field.
Yeah. But you leave nothing as you do that. You just go straight down the field and no one knows that you were there and everything's done. I kind of made all the analogies to that. So I've got a lot of notes from the beginning, and then I've let my discussion of it kind of and asking questions about how people work and reading and listening to people in chat as well. You know, I can't. It's weird because I'm trying to build something I'm referring to as a platform, and I'm referring to it as a product, and I really do want to take that, by the way, to that point where it's an actual product people could use. That is an actual goal, but I'm then asking people for ideas, which feels fraudulent in some ways, because I'm saying, hey, I want to make a product out of this. What's your idea about how this should work?
It sounds like market research to me, though.
Yeah. But it does feel like a little bit of, you know, I'm not leaning on people to give me answers, but it's useful to see different people's insights. And we've had lots of conversations about story pointing on stream. We've had lots of stories like, how do we plan, you know, the involvement of different team members at planning, you know, lone wolf, hey, that's a 3 point, because they arbitrarily just put a number on it just because it satisfies the needs, you know. So
planning poker.
Yeah. But planning poker is often done wrong because people don't like the conversational part of it, because they want to just get out that meeting, because we overload people with meetings. When we have a meeting like that that's actually needed to be a little longer potentially because the team can't agree upon something.
Oh, I thought planning poker was just when you like everybody votes on it and
right. But if I vote 5 and you vote 1, we should discuss it, because that's where you find assumptions.
Oh,
because I might be assuming a lot of behavior and you might not know it, or vice versa, right? So that's what planning poker is meant to do. It's meant to root out those challenges. And if we don't agree after a cycle, the idea is that we have to say that story can't be done. We have to go and discover some more information about it before we can actually accurately point it and agree upon that pointing. That's what it's meant to work as. But what happens is we end up putting that story right before the sprint, and we can't not take the story. And then we rush the work, and then we're like, why is this process failing us?
Yeah. And President Natcher is agreeing with you on
that.
Yeah.
That's the phone call I just got off of.
So
are you able to discuss any parts of that?
Well, you know, it's small team, young team, company in general. I mean, everybody's relatively the same age with little experience outside of, you know, this job. And it's mostly that the communication obviously is always an issue. Delegating tasks has been observed as being an issue as well. These aren't just my thoughts, because this is what was reiterated back to me, where I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I've been saying this. And then just chaos, kind of, but mostly that I don't know. But there was like a blessing in all of it, that it's actually sales who needs to step it up. Which, you know, from my perspective, I disagree. I think that if we build a good platform, it'll sell itself. I think it's hard to sell its current state. But I wasn't going to argue that on that call, because the other discussion was, how does the development team improve in general, just like speed it up. And I mean, part of it's like everything that TBD's building. That's why I'm not joking when I'm like, hey, like, let us test it out.
When do we get to use this?
Yeah, we just have a backlog, but now we have a backlog that one thing that like we do, which I don't believe we should be doing, but as the most junior dev on the team, it doesn't really matter what I say. There's a backlog and they're already assigned. So I have nothing in the revamp project to do on the next 2 or 3 sprints, 2 sprints, because it's all been assigned. So if I finish all my stuff, I get to just go work on whatever I want, which I'll work on something that I can help out with, but everything on the backlog for this revamp, this rewrite is has already been assigned. So I'm just like, hey, like, I've offered to take some of this load, but ownership of task is, well, I don't know, just some people have a hard time letting go, which I get, but I mean, delegating doesn't give up ownership, in my opinion. And I mean, I don't know, I've told TBD a lot of this. I think you can shape someone if you delegate and then give feedback, and like that doesn't happen. So it's always like, well, they're not going to do it right, so I'm just not going to give it to them. Which, I don't know, feels like it's grounds for failure. I'm not the only one who thinks that within the company, you know. So.
That is absolutely true. One thing, and I always call attention to myself because I don't want to judge other people harshly. I know that it comes across as me judging other people harshly, but it's really just judgments on myself. And if anyone does feel the same, please don't feel offended. But one thing, or like I'm talking about them, one thing that I find myself doing is when I do rely on someone else, then I'm like, okay, I put this in your hands. I'm relying on you to do this. We can talk about any of the stuff that I worked on for it. But this is your thing. If you need help, please ask. I tend to feel like they're either too afraid to ask because they don't want to seem incompetent, or they think that they are doing it right and then they're just going a completely different direction that is not in support of the direction we are trying to go. So then I usually end up, and again, this is my failing, needing to adjust. I'm not going to say redo their work, adjust the work that they did in a way that is more towards what the functionality, what the feature, whatever it is supposed to be. And so I feel like I don't want to put that burden on other people to meet my standards, so that's why I don't like to delegate myself to other people. So I don't know if that maybe helps with understanding the place that some people could come from that don't like to delegate, and then finding a way to address that and be like, okay, look, let's talk about this, do whatever a team needs to do in order to get this task done.
After yesterday, where essentially something fell through the cracks that for the umpteenth time, that I had vocally expressed, like, hey, I've got capacity. These are the issues that I always run into. For instance, conflicts on a pull request. Well, I'm pulling from dev. Just dev is behind me for one, but two, since we deploy from a computer, and not from like a pipeline or required in the repo before it gets deployed, the merge conflicts aren't my fault. They're because I can't get access to the most recent code, and if I ask 4 times a day for 3 weeks and still not get it, it's just like, oh yeah, like I'll get that to you later, and like I still don't get it. And then something falls through the cracks where I'm like, oh well, this was kind of an issue that I was trying to avoid, that I've like expressed, after that happened for, I don't know, however many times it's happened to me this year. I think yesterday I was just kind of like, all right, I usually like will throw out an application here and there, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel conducive as to a budding developer, for me personally. But in this specific instance, I've never held back expressing like what I think could be better, because I don't know, I'm very vocal, but I'm also like very like eager, and I feel like I'm not getting what I need personally after expressing like, hey, like these are some things that I think would help me help you.
Yeah, and this does go to President Notcher's point of few programmers that actually want feedback, in my experience, especially more junior ones who really would benefit the most from it. And I think my comment to him was, I think that there are just a lot of people that have the struggles, myself included, of not wanting to appear incompetent. So I don't want feedback because I don't want to be told I did it wrong.
If you told me, like your code's crap, I'd be like, cool, thank you.
Yeah, that's how I would like.
It takes me like
be.
streaming the work code on privately on Discord to like actually get feedback, which like, probably shouldn't be doing, but it's the only way that like I have gotten more out of this past week or two in feedback than I've ever gotten from work, which T probably thinks like he hasn't given much, but that's kind of a testament to my point.
I mean, that's crap is not constructive feedback.
Yeah, no.
I think that,
well, it's feedback.
It's feedback, but like when I started my first job in the US, I was, I'd been a .NET developer for a few years. I came from a different background. I had different experiences, and I have always held pretty strong opinions from pretty early on in my career about writing things well, trying to do your best, not being perfect, trying to do your best and not cutting corners where you don't need to cut corners. And I was hired as a developer on the mobile team, and kind of quickly put my opinions in there and made some refactorings and changed things around. But then as the company started to grow, they really started to embrace the .NET thing, and they brought the other developers. Now these developers, some of them had actually had experience, and I found that very intimidating because they'd had about similar style of time on the job as I had, but they'd been working in VB. And introducing them to concepts like interfaces and how to use dependency injection and things like that was, you know, how do you tell them how to do that? That they're still experienced, they're just not using those tools. And what I found was I had to give them feedback in some form, and everything had to be very constructive because, you know, they may or may not have understood me. And, you know, then we had junior developers coming in, and it's a very hard thing to give people feedback. Not negatively about their code. It's not, if code works, it works, but that shouldn't be the bar. The bar should not be, yeah, it does its job. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next thing. Can we read it? Can we maintain it? And all these things I espouse all the time, right? And that's the key, is when we're trying to give feedback, it shouldn't be about that's right or wrong, because we often focus on that, very much so. It's how could we do this differently? Why is this difficult? Like, and helping people to see why what they're doing isn't working and could be better is a key element of
and that's where, and so like you were doing it there and I did it when I was saying my spiel about not trusting other people to do their job or whatever. We're choosing those words based off of, like, we need to be careful with the way that we word things, because I have the habit of saying things like, well, this is not the best way to do it, and it's like, yeah, but it is a good way to do it and it gets things done. I'm like, okay, here's what I actually mean. We need to do this in a way that is conducive to our team's dynamic so that we can all maintain this code. If anyone picks this up and has to touch it, that we would understand what we need to do with it. And if you pick it up a month later, you will also be able to remember.
One thing that once was told to me in an interview, or once was asked to me in an interview that I've taken and used since, is I was asked in an interview once where it was like, how do you like to be managed and how do you like to get feedback? And like, I'm that self-aware where I had an answer, but I've used it since to know how I need to approach people from the
Other
beginning.
people as well.
It's hard when, you know, you've spent time with them and haven't been, like, it's hard you know, already know the person well enough where asking that question could feel like kind of slightly like, oh, what am I doing wrong, you know? But getting that from like the very beginning kind of just sets the standard going forward to at least avoid some of that unsureness, I guess. Why did it get quiet?
I don't know.
for me, it got quiet because I'm trying to fight with this Lambda thing. I'm learning the hard way. I mean, you know, we don't like to be told that's wrong. We don't like to be told anything necessarily negative, and I find that you've got to be careful about being passive aggressive with people. Because if you're passive aggressive with me, I get really angry. Like, I do not like being like when people are talking, or passive aggressive can come down as talking down to someone as well. And I'm mindful of not doing that because I hate it. I hate being talked down to. We are human beings. Like, if I've had it in the past where I've had disagreements with executives because they've talked down to me like I'm some lesser than being. And I think we kind of got on this conversation earlier on, right, Mojo, about the way that development is treated in organizations and why it's not. Development is an expensive thing. developers aren't cheap. But then it means that we are often looked upon as resources that are just tools to do a job and to get a product out. And and I'm going to come back around on something before, and this is the risk you run. Your team is chasing the sales team to sell more of the product. You're right in that a better product will help promote itself, right? And sales will be easier when the product is, renowned for doing what it should do. But if sales goes pushing more sales, more bugs will appear, the cracks will widen, and the time to fix them will get lesser. Because, they'll be like, oh, we've got to sell this, 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 fix this now, fix this now. And that's when legacy systems are made worse, because they are, the code is piled in, and 7,500 line methods become the commonplace.
Yeah, and when, like, the disappointment wasn't on tech, even though I honestly, it's just one of those things where I'm like, hey, like, I do think there is more to blame on us as a team than sales, but it's hard because we don't know our limit, and I think we're on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So there's two types of, well, there's two that I know of sales, how to drive sales. There's like sales driven sales, I guess, and then there's like product led. There are better terms for this, and I just can't remember them off right now. And I think we're too far on the sales side that we think like, oh yeah, like once we get, let's hire more salespeople so we can get more money, so then we can hire a developer. It's like, well,
you kind of need a good product before you do that.
Yeah. And it's something that I have openly expressed, so it's not anything that, like, because I mean, I don't know, when I was being interviewed, I was like, hey, like, I'm not going to be kept silent. If I have an idea or an opinion, like, I need to know that I can voice it. And that was met with approval, and they hired me. And I make sure that I say, hey, like, I don't, even with the owner, I'm like, hey, like, I don't agree with, like, this doesn't make sense. Can you provide more clarity? First, I try to get clarity before I fully disagree, or before I express my disagreement. But a lot of the time, it seems like product-driven sales. Oh man, what is the term?
I don't know, because I don't really care about product sales.
That's fair. But I mean, our whole, like, we're all of 10 people, so it's like sales and a marketing person. And we all need each other,
Yeah.
But if we make a better product, we need somebody to go sell it. But I think there's a lot of struggle in selling it, because, like, there's just a learning curve there. It doesn't look pretty. It's not convincing, and then you have to, like, beg for their time or barter for their time, which is our whole point. Funny enough, like, our whole point is, like, we give you back time in your life, and you can actually buy time.
But that's not all. That's not all a development challenge to solve. Actually, yes, it might feel like it because it's all within your control, but it's not a development challenge to solve alone, right? The company has to understand the market. The company has to understand the product they're building, and also allocate the time necessary to achieve that goal. And you hire developers as experts. You hire them to listen to them, and what happens is a lot of organizations stop listening to the experts they hired. The people they're paying lots of money for start to become just a tool to get the job done, and not experts that understand their field. And it's why we as developers, I said it earlier on to you, we as developers don't do ourselves any favors when we rush to achieve goals, when we jam stuff in to make people happy. because we end up creating code bases that are unmaintainable, and then we sound like whiners later on when we're like, oh, we've got all this technical debt, we need a load of time to fix it, and they're like, yeah, but we're selling it, we need to make more sales. So it's a vicious cycle that development teams continually put themselves in, and not necessarily on the fault of a single developer, but on the fact that as when we're learning to develop, we don't learn to grow a backbone, and we don't know how to deal with business. And that's kind of what the role I want to be in, is being that defender for developers. And it's why that my focus on the whole planning thing is to make sure that developers are able to ask the right questions before it becomes work. And when it becomes work, they've kind of gatekept that a little bit, and they hold that control.
I wish we could afford you. Be like, hey, don't worry about that 3 o'clock. Just, we can afford you. Let it happen if it happens.
But software is something that we all love to do, and then we all complain when we don't do it right.
Yeah, or almost inevitably, the person that left us their code didn't do it right.
Mm-hmm. That's often the case. Legacy code bases are a nightmare, and it's why we were like, oh, we need to redevelop it. It's way easier to redevelop a system than it is to deal with someone else's crap. So,
ooh, yay! Oh man, you should have been here earlier, Coding Craftsman. That'd have been nice to talk about.
I'm a big advocate for like us dropping like our rewrite today and just like spending the time to refactor our stuff. I think we can get it to like 4.8 relatively quickly, and after we get to 4.8, we can start like actually using just up-to-date stuff and then start splitting it out. But I mean, it's technically more work, because then we'd have to like worry about handling the in-between between, you know, A and B, and that's the part, because it's more work, we're not going to do it. But
well,
it does give us bite-sized chunks.
A refactoring is more than just cleaning code up. It's gaining knowledge, domain knowledge specifically, because you actually get to look at the real code and not just as you're supporting it. I always advise that if you're joining an organization as a developer, if you're joining an organization, the first couple of weeks to a month, you should be doing support, because you're going to know where all the skeletons are pretty quickly. But when it comes to refactoring the code, that will give you more insights, and you can chew things up. And if, again, that backbone, if you're saying, do we actually need this feature? Do we actually need this feature? You can identify what features actually would need to be carried forward to a rewrite, and potentially put the code in such a good position. Because again, if you take out a chunk of your code, your chunk of your behavior, and move it to out to say .NET Standard, you can then use it in .NET now without actually doing a full rewrite. You can actually move it out bit by bit and actually transition the code without actually just saying, oh, we need to rewrite it all. Because if you just rewrite it, you will often end up with missed components, or if you're asking people what do you want, they'll use what the system does now as their measure for what they want. So you just carry along the same problems. So at least analyzing the code will give you that chance.
That's something that, well, I won't hold up 1-1.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, you can finish this conversation. It's great.
That's something that I like actively witness happening, that I always push against. Is like, one of the developers had a call with like some of the other internal people who like kind of use the tool. They use it like the admin tools, and they're like, hey, like, how do you use the platform? And they spent time talking about like how the platform's currently used, and what he was doing was trying to see what he needed to do for the current, you know, in this rewrite. And I'm like, no. Some of their processes might have been born out of necessity, because like it was lacking the ability to do what they wanted. But getting that mind shift change for them to understand is still a work in progress. Where, yeah, I mean, basically, like, we look at a lot of the stuff we have today to see what we need tomorrow, and some of the stuff and how people are using the platform today is mostly, it feels like it's mostly because what they actually wanted wasn't there. And unless I go out of my way to just like take surveys and talk to all these people and do what a product manager should be doing, even though we don't have one, like officially, then like all my other stuff's gonna get backed up. But I think it's the only way it would get us like a actually better product. Unfortunately.
Whispers. Oh my gosh, stop it, Mr. Anhorn, as TBD calls you. Canhorn. Anyway, we are nearing the end. That was a great conversation, man. I want to talk about that for the next 6 hours now. How team dynamics work and what we should be doing as maybe more experienced devs on the team and how we could make it better experience for everyone. But that's pretty much TBD's app. So check out his stream, watch the development on his app, have conversations there too. It's great times. For now, I think it's time for us to do our stand-ups because I got to get back to work. So who wants to start?
Mojo, you start.
My stand-up is that my blockers are just team dynamics. Working on that fix, it may take me a couple of sprints, but probably more than that. Other than that, no blockers.
All right, TBD.
So this week we got progress made on the platform, got some new users added, and starting to move towards notifications. So going into next week, we'll be making more of the notifications piece, getting actual alerts to the client, and yeah, nothing blocking me. But now considering taking on unpaid interns, apparently. So thank you very much.
Cool. And then of course I guess mine is that I'm still working on this filter thing. I deployed a version of the filters. They love it and kind of are excited for the thing that I kind of put in there, which was they'll have more advanced filtering capability that's very Excel-like, with things like numeric between, date between, greater than or equal to, all of those. It's not super easy to do from scratch. So that's what I'm working on. I guess no blockers other than just time. Time needs to rush. Time needs to go faster. But yeah, that's it. So the thing that I usually do after stand up is to allow you any last words, anything you want to tell everyone or advertise for yourself as always.
Nope, no more advertisement required. I think we've had a good amount. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
All right, you as well.
See you next week. Okay.
And I am going to shout you out still, Mojo. Mojo does stream on occasion. He's a .NET developer as well, working on some fun stuff. I still have yet to listen in on a stream because it's usually in the evenings. There was one day that he did it super early in the morning, and I was like, yes, I get to watch this. So I was there for that. Hung out with him. Good times on his stream. But yeah, that's it for my stream for today. Thank you, Mr. Anhorn. Like, what do you prefer to be called? Do people actually call you Canhorn on Twitch? Do they call you C? But thank you so much for your gift subs today. That was very, very nice of you. Oh, and your own sub. Your sub and a gift sub. Wow. Really appreciate it. I will be back again, though, for the next stream, which is our normal project stream. If you're interested in what our stream project is, it is a financial management tracker. We've been reworking the UI, redesigning, applying those designs, having fun role-playing as UI designer and UI developer, and playing out some stereotypes. But it's all fun for me, at least. But I'll be back on Monday at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. I always hesitate to say daylight or standard because I never know which one we're in, but it's UTC-6 currently. So feel free to join again. No obligations, but if you're here, I'd be glad to see you. Whatever you feel is right. I have and hear all of those. Okay, cool. So I'll call you Canhorn. We're going to read out to a game developer named Bardaki. He is a bard. He will probably sing to us as soon as we come in because he's a bard and a developer at the same time. So he's working on a game called The Unwanted War. It is an RTS game. Currently has not early access, test access to some of his testers. He said 91 people have access to it. Boo Barty. Why Boo Barty? Who would you rather go see? No. You'd rather go see Bardaki. Wait, what? Oh, as in I don't have a command for... yeah, I'm terrible at that. But, you know me. One day we'll have a bot that I can add commands to on the fly, and it would have some creative things to say because I have it hooked up to the LLM. But if you're interested in seeing any of our previous VODs, I post them all to YouTube at some point in time. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Feel free to hop into our Discord if you aren't already inundated with Discord servers. Pretty quiet place, but really, really cool people. Okay, ciao for now.